Hey guys, it's Lane with Tim's Nation. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the army I'm taking up against DJ's Necrons. I am trying out one of the new detachments that they announced for the Space Marine Codex that's coming up. I'm using basically the rules that a bunch of different content creators have kind of gone over online because we don't actually have the Codex in hand yet. But I am running the Iron Storm Spearhead. So we're doing Iron Hands. I am running Black Templars as Iron Hands. So we're doing Iron Templars today. The reason I'm doing Black Templars is just so I can get the multi-meltas on my Gladiator Lancers and on the Impulsor. Other than that, it's really just a basic Marine list, but we're going to be using the new enhancements and new rules for the Iron Storm Spearhead. Really excited this. I love running vehicles. I have a bunch of vehicles. I just finished up the edge highlighting on my Gladiators, so they look a little bit better than they did last week. I've got some Ballistus Dreadnoughts in here. There's been some discussion now because of the points drops, which I am including in this list. This is accounting for the points changes they announced to Marines. There's some discussion now that the Ballistus Dreadnoughts are only 140, so they might be kind of competing in the same space now as the Gladiator Lancers. Some people are discussing, which one should we take? I decided to take both of them today. So I've got two Lancers and two Ballistus Dreadnoughts. We'll see how they perform. Excited to kind of run through this list. Now, we don't actually have the Space Marine Codex yet, and they just announced the points by leaking them to some of the content creators, although they don't actually have them on paper or in digital form for us yet. So I built my list in the GW app, and then I subtracted out points that I accounted for from the points changes that were announced, and I added in points for the enhancements that I'm going to take. So I'm going to take 3 of the enhancements today. So just kind of, I think I got exactly 2,000 points. I might be off by 5 or 10 points. You'll have to cut me a break on that one. So we're going to go through the list, I'm going to talk about like the enhancements a little bit and the stratagems, because there's the things that are new, newly released, kind of go through how I'm going to be using them today. And then we'll talk about the plan into DJ. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys, like I said, this is an Iron Storm Spearhead Detachment. I'm running Black Templars as the Iron Storm Spearhead. The only reason I'm doing Black Templars is because I'm taking the Black Templar Lancers and the Black Templar Impulsor, which give me the multi-meltas on those tanks. And so I did account for the points in that because I built it as a Black Templar list in the GW app. Then, so what we actually have now, the Iron Storm Spearhead, they're Space Marines, so they still get Oath of Moment, but their army-wide detachment rule is Armored Wrath. Basically, each unit gets to reroll 1 hit, wound, or damage roll in each attack sequence. That's shooting or fighting in combat. So that's 1 hit, wound, or damage roll. So you got to pick one. This will stack nicely with the built-in benefits that both the Gladiator Lancers and the Ballistus Dreadnoughts have. So we'll see how that plays out here. So characters, of course, we've got 2 Tech Marines today. One of the only things in my list that's not WYSIWYG is that I'm running a Lieutenant with the combi weapon. So he has the lone operative ability. The model I have here is the Phobos Lieutenant, but we're running him as the Lieutenant with the combi weapon, just so we get the rerolls to 1 to wound on the chosen, or for enemy models that are near a chosen objective on the table. And I want him to have that lone operative ability because I'm going to stick an enhancement on him. So the Lieutenant with the combi weapon, his enhancement today is going to be Master of Machine War. So what he does, basically, he gives off a 6-inch aura, and all vehicles can fall back or advance and still shoot. That's really powerful, especially I'm going to be having him near the Redemptor Dreadnoughts, so that when they get into combat and actually start punching some things, they still have the option of falling back and shooting, because the Redemptors have the macroplasma incinerators on them, and they are blasts, so they wouldn't be able to shoot into combat, so they would lose some of the ability. Hopefully they'll kind of pick that up and be able to fall back and shoot again. We'll see if it comes into play in this game, but that's 20 points for Master Machine War enhancement. Then I've got 2 Tech Marines. GW in the new Space Marine book has kind of done away with some of the lines between Firstborn, and Primaris. So they just have Tech Marines now. They're super cheap at only 55 points. So I've got 2 Tech Marines. One is an old school Firstborn resin model, and the other one's a Primaris Tech Marine. But now the rules are just kind of smushed together into one Tech Marine. One of them will have the target augury enhancement. That's a 40-point enhancement. Basically, it gives a 6-inch aura for all vehicles within 6 inches get lethal hits. I'm going to have him, that Tech Marine, parked in the back with my whirlwinds so that they can just chuck out some shots and do some damage. Like I said, if you listen to my my discussion last week, or my video last week on whirlwinds and the new Space Marines, now that they've lost the Oath of Moment wound rerolls, I thought the whirlwinds might be less strong because they would have less power going into hard targets. They're only strength 8. But if they've got lethal hits, maybe that's going to make up for it. We'll find out today. I know DJ is bringing a lot of vehicles, so we'll see if that makes a difference today. We'll say the Primaris Tech Marine has the target augury on him. The third enhancement I've got today is only going to be my last Tech Marine here. It's a 25-point enhancement called Adept of the Omnissiah. Basically, once per battle round, I can zero out a failed armor save for one vehicle within 6 inches of the Tech Marine. This is a great rule. Had it on my Votan in 9th edition, and I'm glad to see it comes back. See if we have some fun with this. I will probably park this Tech Marine near the Gladiator Lancers because they're going to get out there in order to get their shots off. They're going to be in the line of fire. DJ's going to try to kill them because he knows that they can really wreck his vehicles. So once per turn, or once per battle round, I'll be able to zero out a failed armor save. Really nice enhancement because I can actually make the armor save, roll the armor save first, and decide after I've failed it if I want to actually use that ability. So those are the 3 characters. As far as infantry, we've just got 3 small little units. Got 2 squads of Eliminators. These are Las Fusel Eliminators, and the sergeant in each squad has the Instigator Bolt Carbine, which means these units can move, shoot, and then they get to move again after shooting. I'm going to try something a little tricky and put them into an Impulsor. I think there's some play here because the Impulsor can move. It can also advance, and its special rule in the Impulsor is that after it advances, the models inside can disembark and count as having made a normal move. So the Eliminators, even though they have the ability to infiltrate, before the game starts, I might want to start them in the Impulsor, and then they can make a big move because the Impulsor moves, they can advance, they can get out, they can shoot, and then they can move again, which means they have a lot of mobility and hopefully can get on some objectives, maybe do some action, score some secondaries that way. We'll see if it works. Also, it's real nice because their Las Fusils will be shooting out of the Impulsor because it's got a firing deck 6. So I'll be getting their good shots out while they're still in the vehicle. And then we've got a little squad of scouts here. The scouts are down to 55 points for a 5-man squad. Their weapon loadouts changed a little bit. You can take 1 missile launcher. You can take 1 sniper rifle in the squad. The other guys can have either close combat or shotguns. I'm very glad to have my old school metal scouts on the table here. I don't think scouts are still on 25mm bases, but my metal ones are, so deal with it. Always glad to have some metal models out there, and we'll see if they can contribute. The main reason I have them is because I had 55 points left in the army that I had a little room to squeeze them in there, and we'll see how they play today. Now, vehicles. We have so many vehicles, 10 vehicles today. We're going to start with Dreadnoughts. We got 2 Redemptors. Both Redemptors have the Macroplasma Incinerators and then the Gatling cannons under the fists. They are here to shoot and punch, and I hope they get a chance to do both of those things. As you know, their special rule is that they reduce damage by 1 when they're taking damage. Like I said, I'm going to have the scout, or not the scout, the lieutenant with combi weapon. He's going to be staying near them to give them the ability to both advance and shoot and also fall back and shoot. Hopefully that'll come into play and we can see how that enhancement works. We got 2 more dreads. We got 2 ballistic dreads. Now these guys, their special rule is whenever they shoot at something that is above half strength, they get to re-roll all their hits. So being that they can re-roll all their hits and then they get 1 wound re-roll or damage re-roll from the Iron Storm Spearhead Detachment rule, I think that makes them pretty effective into things that are not Oath of Moment. And even if they do go with the Oath of Moment target, just getting the ability to use that reroll for a wound or damage roll is going to be very powerful. So we'll see how they do today. We've got 2 of the Gladiator Lancers. These guys have been doing really well. They are a little bit squishy sometimes because they're not, it's always super durable. As I said, I'm going to have the Tech Marine with the Adept of the Omnissiah enhancement standing near them, so I can zero out 1 failed armor save for one of them once per battle round. Their special rule, of course, is they reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, and 1 damage roll. As we know, with the Iron Storm Spearhead Detachment rule, they will also get to reroll one of those, a hit, wound, or damage roll, just making them extra efficient into any target, really. Doesn't matter whether Oath is on it or not. Like I said, I am running Black Templars, so even though I don't have multi-meltas on these, just pretend those little heavy stubbers are multi-meltas. And then we'll go from there. And finally, I did mention we've got an Impulsor that the Eliminators will be riding around in. And we do have the multi-melt on that, but it does have the invuln save enhancement or an upgrade on that. And of course, 3 whirlwinds. Whirlwinds are back. I've got the models. I'm going to give them another shot now that I'm going to have a Tech Marine standing near them with the target artery enhancement, and they will have lethal hits for the entire, as long as they're within 6 inches of that Tech Marine. And I think combined, especially with one of the stratagems, it's going to make them a little extra powerful. All right, guys, so I'm excited to take this list into DJ's Necrons today. We kind of planned it out a little bit that even though I'm kind of testing out this new Iron Hands, Iron Templars list that I'm running, it's not really built really into the competitive mindset. If I'm taking a Space Marine list to a tournament, it's going to have at least 1 or 2 squads of Inceptors in it. It's going to have Calidus Assassin, because those units are just amazing at scoring points and playing both the primary and the secondary objectives. So I really just wanted to take all these vehicles so we could try out the Iron Hands, the Iron Storm Spearhead Detachment rules, and see how they function there. That's kind of why I brought the Eliminators, because being that each unit gets 1 reroll of a hit, wound, or damage, the Eliminators with their 2 las fusel shots, those are a limited number of shots, but they have 1 reroll for them might be good, because we got a small unit with just a couple shots in it. They might benefit even more from that 1 extra reroll. Same thing with the Scout Squad. There's a missile launcher in the Scout Squad. Guess I'm going to be rerolling, using that reroll on. It's probably going to be on that missile launcher shot. If they stick around, they might die real quick. We'll see. There are, of course, 6 stratagems for the Black Templars. I don't remember all their names yet. If I use them in the game, I'm going to try to call them out and let you know what they are. Of course, they're Space Marines, so they do get Armor of Contempt. There are some other spicy ones in there, like there's a fun Auto Explode. If a vehicle dies, I can choose to just pay a CP and blow it up, and hopefully do a little damage to my enemy in there. And like I said, during the game, I will call them out as I use them and kind of go through them there. DJ's bringing a bunch of vehicles, so we're going to have a nice vehicle face-off here. I think we both have 10 vehicles, so I'm excited to see how they perform. These Necron guns just have so much consistent damage. All their guns are flat 3 or flat 6 damage, high AP. I know the Space Marine list is going to be hitting real hard, but it's possible he might wreck me pretty good too. So follow me over to the battle report, and you're going to see how this list does. Hopefully we have at least kill some vehicles. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know if I'm hoping for a win, but I'm hoping for some destruction. All right, follow me over there, guys, and we'll see how we do.